I am a nostalgic. If you've seen more of my videos, you probably noticed. Something I've always been obsessed is how color used to look on film. And as a filmmaker who knows very little about color grading, I've lost count on how many tutorials I watch trying to get that film look, yet it never feels quite right. In one of their latest updates, DaVinci introduced the Film Look Creator, which I've been using so far. And while I think it does a pretty good job, I still felt like something was missing. Then DEHANCER contacted me, and I discovered this tool which I'm going to give you my honest review of today. DEHANCER is a film and emulation software that works as a plugin for different video and photography applications. It's not a lot, it's a full tool that allows you to adjust every feature that makes film look like film. And using it, I finally understood what I was missing when trying to achieve that style, and which elements are truly necessary to get it right. So I'm gonna walk you through the features that I find more useful following the workflow that DEHANCER recommends. The first step is to convert the log footage into Rec 709. DEHANCER offers this possibility, but honestly I prefer to do it directly on DaVinci. Also, I like to add some basic notes before the DEHANCER node, especially to adjust the curves and color. The vignette is basically applied to slightly darken the edges of the image, and it's really practical when you want to guide the audience view. It's a good idea to adjust this first, as it affects the contrast and exposure. Now it's time for the magic to begin. DEHANCER offers more than 60 film profiles, in which you can adjust the film exposure factor to get a lot of different looks. Finding the right one can take time, and some of them just don't work for me, but I guess it's just part of the process. The Expand tool allows you to adjust the black and whites. I like to do it at this point, but I revisit this feature a lot of times throughout the process. This simulates film printing and allows you to adjust different parameters related to color density and contrast to make it feel more organic and less digital. I've never worked with real film before, so I just go by intuition, and I've discovered that my favorite one is probably Kodak Endura glossy paper. Film Developer simulates the chemical process of film development and affects the image in terms of saturation, color, and contrast, allowing you to further adjust the look you are going for. This compresses the highlights and provides a more natural and cinematic look. It is probably the first feature we'll think of when talking about the film look. I consider DaVinci's grain to be already very good, but I loved DEHANCER's one. I feel it looks much more realistic and integrated, and it's completely customizable. These are both light dispersion effects. I think they should be used carefully and in very specific situations, because personally I don't like when they are too visible. I feel like their excessive use makes it look really obvious that it's digital image trying to emulate film. DEHANCER also offers some features that, while they add a touch of creativity to your videos, I don't use them very often as they are too specific, but I think they can be very useful depending on the project you are working on. These are Film Breadth, which simulates the small variations in exposure and color that naturally happen on film. Gate Width, which simulates the movement that happens when the film passes through the projector or scanner. I never thought about this before, and I really like how it looks. Film Damage, which simulates the typical dirt, giving it a more vintage style. And Overscan, which adds the edges of the negative. I'm not a big fan of this, but I think it's very useful if you need to use it, because it saves a lot of time of searching for overlays all over the internet. So that's it. I'm really enjoying this tool. I think it makes my work a lot faster, and it has helped me to understand the needs I had when trying to achieve this look. On the downside, I will say that it is expensive and it can slow down your computer a lot if you don't meet the optimal settings. So if you are thinking of purchasing it, it's super important that you keep this in mind. And I recommend you to download the trial version first to see if this is what you are really looking for. Also, in case you don't know, the DEHANCER has a phone app. Honestly, I don't like working with my phone and I find it a bit slow, but if your needs and workflow are different than mine, take a look, maybe you find it useful. If you finally decide to purchase the DEHANCER, you have a 10% discount with my code. And you can also check my previous video, which was completely colorized using this tool.